Today's episode of the What's That Like podcast is brought to you by Opera House Brewing Company, Hillsboro, Illinois. Hashtag drink local. What's that like? What's going on, people? Hey, it's another edition of the What's That Like podcast, and I'm your host, John Knowles. Big show today. We've got the owner, the operator, the brewmaster himself, Tony Marcolini. Yes, the Tony Marcolini of the Opera House Brewing Company on as our special guest. We're going to talk about why he decided to start a brewery in a small town like Hillsboro, Illinois with his wife, Jennifer. Wonderful people. Obviously, you've heard me talking about them, sponsoring the show this year. And whether they sponsored the show or not, I just wanted to get him on the show and talk about it because it's a great place to go. I have fun with it. And to help me with this interview, Mr. Zach Wygal, who needs no introduction to What's That Like Nation, of course. Mr. 5 times on the What's That Like podcast. He's the only member of the 5 Timers Club, so congrats to him. And we're just going to talk. We're going to talk about all the things that are going on in Hillsboro. We're going to promote a big special show coming up on October 26th. The Opera House is hosting a summer concert series featuring RetroRockit. So all three of us got a little piece in this, and we'll talk about all that and just get over there and see. Get over there and see what they got going over there at the Opera House. It's a lot of fun. I think you're going to listen to this interview and take a lot away from it. When you get over there, one of the cool things they've got is right by the bar, there's a chalkboard on the bar. And you can actually buy a friend a beer for later. So you can go up there and write your name down. You know, John buys a beer for Zach. And, you know, you pay in advance. And then when Zach walks in, he gets a free beer on me. And I just think that's cool. It's establishing community. There's nothing better than buying your friend a beer. When you get over there, buy your friend a beer, then tell your friend to go over there and get that beer. It's a great little place. Have some fun. Tell them the What's That Like podcast sent you when you get over there. You'll have fun. It's a great little place. I love it. It's an awesome place to be. So let's get right to it. Tony, you bought an old historic building on Hillsboro Main Street and decided to turn it into a craft brewery. What's that like? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the What's That Like podcast. We have 2 special guests. But before I get to our guest of the day, I have to give it up for what I'll call my co-host of this seminal show, the What's That Like podcast, Mr. Zach Wygal. Yeah.
Oh, is this where I clap too?
Well, that's it, because Zach, you are the first member of the What's That Like podcast, 5 Timers Club. The 5 Timers, your 5th time on the show, buddy.
Oh my God, I was not ready for this. I'd like to thank my mom for, and my dad for bringing me into this world. The ceiling, you're pointing to the ceiling?
The ceiling above, for sure.
I would like to thank this wonderful Black Rabbit, the tea I have right now, and the other Opera House brews that get me, through other nights. I mean, there's so many things. It's got me to where I'm at right now, sitting here for the 5th time.
It's amazing.
Isn't it awesome for you?
It feels great.
Yeah.
I mean,
you're a pro now.
I now know I've made it.
You have. And you brought with you a special guest and someone you've been hearing about on this podcast for a while, Tony Marcolini of the Opera House Brewing Company. How are you doing, Tony?
Oh, I'm doing great.
Now,
happy to be here.
This is your first time on a podcast. Is it everything you expected so far?
It is. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
I love it.
I'll give you a tap for that.
See, these guys they're busting my chops now because I got a little sign here on the desk that says, no tapping the table sign.
It's a management. It's a billboard when you come into Mount Olive. It says, "Don't tap on the table." /management.
Because it sounds like this. And every time somebody wants to make a point, we got to try to cut that out. I don't know. It's a pain for me as an editor.
Well, maybe we do Morse code back and forth on what we're going to say next.
Right.
Is that what it is?
It's very unnatural having my hands taped during this, but I don't think that'll come through.
Yeah. He normally bounds people when they come in here.
Right.
So.
Sounds right.
Hey, just keep that on the down low. So there's a reason you guys are here, obviously. I mean, we're here to talk about the Opera House Brewing Company. Tony, you and Jennifer opened this about a year and a half ago. Is that about right?
Something like that, yeah. It seems like forever.
When does let's talk about, we've got Zach's backstory. Let's talk about Tony Marcolini, the 5-year-old, the 8-year-old, the 10-year-old.
Oh, wow.
That turned up to be the brewmaster of Hillsboro. What were you like as a kid?
Oh, I don't know. I'm just a regular kid, I guess.
Yeah.
Bicycles and go-karts and motorcycles.
Grew up in Hillsboro?
Yeah, Hillsboro.
So you've been there your whole life?
Yeah, I have, yeah. Got big into industrial arts, woodworking, all that kind of stuff. Went to college, got a degree in architecture, worked for 10 years in the architecture field, St. Louis mostly, and then came back to Hillsboro and started a construction company.
Which is?
Marcolini, Inc.
And how long has that been in business?
I think 8 years, something like that, 8 or 9 years.
Yeah, and go ahead.
Well,
Zach.
no.
Yeah.
I think he skipped over one important part.
No.
In high school.
Oh, no.
So I think you're a few years ahead of me in high school. Tony was his car. So
We're going to high school cars.
this car that he had decked out like no other. There was like running lights.
Oh, yeah, we had a little neon.
The whole back seat was like speakers everywhere.
Yeah.
And I remember he had a little tube TV in the
Well,
front.
flat screens were invented.
Yeah,
yet.
I know. A little tube TV in the front console.
Really?
And then on the side, he like in the back part, he had a VHS player.
Yeah, VCR.
So he could play, VHS tapes
Right.
onto this little bitty
Yes, this
console
is
with
yeah.
I mean, and wasn't there like neon lights like inside of it?
I had neon, yeah.
Where is
And
this
what
car
kind
today?
of car was
Is it
that?
a museum?
No, unfortunately, it's gone. It's gone to a better home. But
What kind of car was
it
it?
was a 85 Mercury Cougar, lowered with LA wire wheels on it, straight from Los Angeles. 24 karat gold spinners.
You have a picture of this?
We do, yeah.
You got to send it. We're going to put it in the links.
We will,
here.
yeah.
I'm just saying, if he's going to jump through his life, he's got to stop.
You got to stop
that.
on the high school
because
car,
I mean,
yeah.
you like back then, kids would sit uptown.
Yeah.
Uptown, and you would hear him coming from
like Litchfield, yeah, for sure, yeah.
Because it'd just be bumping.
315s and a half wall, so it's flat getting it.
Flat out getting it. And you had a VHS in there.
Yeah.
And what was your tape of choice to play?
Oh gosh, I don't know.
Were you just
back
running up
then,
and down
yeah.
Main Street playing Raiders of the Lost Ark?
No, I mean back then probably like Little Tupac or I don't know who else back then. Keith Sweat,
No, the VHS
stuff like that.
Like what movie?
Oh, just whatever video we had to rent. Back then you rented videos in
Yeah.
the store. I still own a bunch of Blockbuster video stock. And
How's that going for you?
well, it's it's a long term investment.
Yeah, I could see it.
Yeah.
It's coming back. It was in that latest Captain Marvel movie.
It was.
You never know.
Yes.
There's one store left,
Is there really?
and while there's one Blockbuster left in the world, there's still a chance.
There is for sure. Yeah.
There's still a chance. But
Hey, if records are coming back, then maybe the VHS will.
that's true. It could happen. Let's talk about skip past high school
We've
now.
got way
So
off track.
You've had Marcolini Construction for the last 8 or 9 years, and you and your wife manage that.
Yeah,
Jennifer.
that's for sure. Yeah. She works with me full time, and so about 6 years ago or so, I was watching a TV show with an old buddy of mine, Tanner Murphy. He came over and he said, "Man, you got to watch this show called Brewmasters on TV," and I think it was on Netflix or something at the time. And we started watching that, five or six episodes, all about Dogfish Head Brewing in Delaware. Milton, Delaware is where they're at. And man, we really got into it. We were drinking beers, watching this show, and I'm like, man, the show's all about how the breweries brought the community together and all the experimental beers they do and all the fun stuff and all the experiences. And I remember there was an episode where they brewed Dogfish 120, which is one of their highest end beers. They something got off in the batch. I don't know what it was. They never said, but maybe got an infection or something was wrong with the beer, and it made it quite a ways, and they had to dump it. The flavor profile wasn't right, so they dumped the beer. And when they did, the people who worked there cried on the show. I remember sitting there because it's I don't know what that beer sells for, $18 a 12-ounce bottle or something. It's a
Really?
very expensive beer. And when they dumped it down the drain, the people worked there felt disappointed that they had done wrong. And I thought that there was some connection to that moment in that show where I thought, man, that is a true devotion to what they're doing. And but then probably 3 weeks we were in Milton, Delaware, touring the facility, buying my Dogfish hat, which I still wear. A lot of the press stuff, I still wear that hat.
Yeah.
And we set out to build a brewery in Hillsboro.
And that was what year? You said 5 or 6 years ago?
Yeah, 5 or 6 years ago. Yeah, I'd have to look back and exactly see when I went there the first time.
So then you had the dream that you wanted to do this. But were you a home brewer before?
At that time, not. That time I was just a guy who liked craft beer and quickly got into it pretty serious and started home brewing and started reading books. I've read I don't know how many books and every YouTube video there is to watch and all that good stuff. So basically just got into it. I knew Hillsboro was the place I was going to build it. I knew that I wanted to be right downtown, and we had we looked at a lot of different buildings. A lot of people know we own that building kind of by Gianni's old place there, and we thought about doing a little nano brewery there, and it was too small. And we own the ice plant in Central Park, and we thought, boy, that'd be a really big really cool giant brewery, but wasn't sure about the market as far as that size, and looked at a few other places and ended up just by chance found out that the Century 21 building, it was kind of called then, could be purchased. Brian Lee, a fantastic carpenter in Hillsboro, had looked at it, and I said, "Oh my gosh, is it for sale?" And he said, "Well, it could be purchased, so it wasn't really for sale." But so after he decided he didn't want it, we said, we were talking one evening. I said, "So you're not going to buy it?" He said, "No." I said, "Are you sure?" And he's like, "Why?" And I said, "Well, I'm going to go buy it tomorrow." And I did. The next day, before the day was done, it was our building.
And this building is right there on the corner, corner from the Orpheum
right,
Theater. Yeah. And there was the Reed Bauer, Century 21.
Exactly,
had been in there before. Yeah.
Before that was done real estate, I guess it was called.
Yeah.
But anyway, for some reason, Hillsboro's Main Street has an offset in it, which puts that building looking directly down Main Street, which is, I think, a fantastic view.
And the only other view like that is from the courthouse at the other end.
Looking right at us.
So,
right?
yeah, you're looking straight down. And that's,
right.
it's a great building there.
Right. For us, we thought that was very important to be right downtown, to be the center hub of the improvement and the excitement. It's proved to be a fantastic location.
Well,
we're proud to be there.
We'll go backwards, but you're on the topic now.
Sure.
So you mentioned you knew you wanted to build it in Hillsboro.
Yeah.
Why little Hillsboro, not a bigger market like a Springfield or Effingham or Springfield, where there are more people?
Right.
Why do this in little old Hillsboro?
Well, I think during our research, we had gone to about 100 breweries. And what I really like...
So you call traveling and drinking beer research.
Research, yeah. During our beer research.
I like that. Zach, we can get into that. Absolutely. Research. Yes. Go ahead.
So during our beer research, we had been to about 100 breweries. And the breweries that I like the best are in small towns. They're very quaint and cool, and they have the ability to experiment with beers faster, and you're more connected to the product. So I thought Hillsboro was a perfect market for what we wanted to do.
And it's home.
And it's home, yeah. And I think that for us, the size that we wanted to build and all that, the Hillsboro is perfect size for us.
Tell me about the building.
Yeah.
The name of your brewery is from the building. So while we're on the building, tell me about the history of this place.
Well, Hillsboro, the building that we're in is Hillsboro's Opera House. It was built in 1886 or 1887, depends on the historic record you look at. But it was built as an opera house. It operated from 86 to about 1920. And during that time, I've seen a lot of playbills. The Historical Society has given us or showed us a few of those. They did high school graduations and plays and boxing and all kinds of activities there. By 1920, the Opera House was closed, and it became the Oddfellows Hall. So a lot of people locally still call it the Oddfellows Hall. And above the archway at our entry, you can see the old Oddfellows sign. We're planning to restore it a little bit, but it still shows there.
The Opera House was on top, and it collapsed in, right?
Yeah.
So it's not there?
Correct. The Opera House was actually on the second level, and when you come in the front door now, there's a stairway that we've built back that's in the historic, kind of where it was before. And you would have came in, bought your ticket, came in, and then went up to the receiving room, which is still there. Then you went out through a big set of double doors into the opera, and that area collapsed in 1978. Mr. Vandiver had the building, that section taken off, and then secured and saved at that point. So without him, we wouldn't have had the building now.
And you've had it for how many years now? Just the building itself.
I don't know when we bought it. Maybe 3 years.
And last year, 2018, you really started building the brewery out, right?
Yeah, I think we started in 2017. I think we started construction. During 2018, we really were heavy into construction, and then served our very first beer August of 18.
When you started construction on the building, I remember you had pictures on Facebook, things like that. Oh gosh,
yeah.
And one of the coolest things that I found, and I want to know how you felt about it, is when you took some of the, we'll call it added, layers to the front of that building. Did you know you were going to pull that off and find that archway?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. It was very kind of a neat story. I've done a lot of work in construction for Jody Dunn, who owned that building for I forget how many years, but a whole lot of years. And she has a picture of it in her living room. It's a small, really nice black and white picture. So I knew that the window was there and the arch was there and the Oddfellow sign was there for 10 or 15 years. Gotcha. I knew it was there, and every time I walked by or drove by, I thought, man, I want to tear that paneling off there and see that arch. So or after we purchased the building, I took off the inside paneling just so I could see, the brick and everything. And I was really excited to get that plywood off there.
Zach, what would you ask here?
Well, I mean, honestly, like when this was, the whole thing was getting started, I was like on the skeptical side. Because I'm like, would this work in Hillsboro? Because I mean, when you're used to just small town bars, and that's all you've grown up around, and maybe like in bigger cities have things like this, instantly taken off, and it's still to this day. I mean, just watching all those all the towns come in. When did you open up the doors and serve your first beer?
The first beer we served there was during our soft opening, August of 2018. That was right before the car show. I think it was a Saturday night, if I remember right, because car show was on Sunday. We had contract brewed a beer at Stubborn German in Waterloo, and we had that beer. Hot Rod Honey was our very first beer, and actually on tap right now.
It is.
I love that stuff.
Oh, it's a fantastic beer. But we brewed that and had it on tap. We opened for the car show and Old Settlers and that kind of stuff, did some soft opening stuff. And then we closed again for a while and worked more on construction. By November of 2018, we were really open on the regular, serving beer and having fun. We brewed batch 1 in March of 2019. So since then, we've been brewing once a week since then.
And it's become an event because the way you've got the place set up, at some point you cut the whole floor out of this thing.
Yeah, right.
And then you brought in a whole brewing system. Tell everyone about that.
Yeah, we opened up a large section of floor in the brewery side that opens up that area opens up and looks down into the brewery, and you can just stand around the edge like a
balcony into the basement.
Like a balcony, yeah. Looks like a balcony, and you can look down in and watch us brew. I felt the connection of brewery to customer was important, so I wanted to be able to see that. And we like to brew live in front of an audience. It just changes the whole dynamic of the brewery whenever the machines are running and the pumps are running and beer is being made. It just changes the smell and the feel of the whole place, and I really like that part.
And have you guys given any thought to model like what the Fudge Factory used to do at Union Station?
I have heard some
singing,
yes,
and do some singing, and put on like a routine.
Yes, I've heard some suggestions. Right now, the whole entire goal is to not get completely soaked with water. Is the goal normally, but
okay.
But I do like the idea of the clapping and that also.
That was good. The Fudge Factory down at Union Station.
Yeah,
those guys are probably available.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, that has been mentioned before, believe it or not.
So you've been full at it now for about 6 months, if I got your timeline
Yep,
right.
that's correct.
And how many different beers have you produced so far?
Okay, so since March, we've brewed about 30 different beers.
Really?
We try to brew about 2 a week. Many of those are variants of other beers. So if we brew a wheat beer, part of it may become a apricot wheat or some flavor.
Your connection to local is big with you. Even on the back of the shirt you have is #DrinkLocal. I think one of the coolest things you're doing is bringing local elements into the beers that you're brewing, right?
Right. We're not using a lot of local product yet to brew the beer, but we do incorporate a lot of businesses into our beers. We do use Black Rabbit coffee in one of our beers, and we've been trying to make connections with some people to source some other local products. But we do a lot of collaboration beers with local businesses like CTI, Atlas 46, just so many collaboration beer. We just have one, we did it with the library for the big library fundraiser. So anytime we can get people involved to help brew, free help is always great.
I want to do one called Wheats That Like.
Wheats That Like, I love that.
The Wheats That Like beer. What do you think?
I like it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The hardest part of brewing is coming up with beer names, as you can imagine. Our beer names are quite entertaining. And without Jennifer, my the governor of my motor, we would have some very offensive beer names. Well, we usually have a few cocktails, a few craft beers, and then we name beers. And then once we all, as a group, decide some great, fantastic names, she vetoes nearly all of them. And then we end up with the beer names you see today, which are fun, but appropriate.
Cool.
Yeah.
But I gotta imagine it's tough to come up with a beer name because there's so many of these breweries.
Oh my gosh!
And they're all thinking of the weird beer names themselves.
Yes.
If you pull one up, you probably got to Google it first before you put it on the menu, right?
We do. I mean, if there's a beer that's a short timer that just a once-off beer, we don't mind copying a beer, using a beer name that's been used. But the beers that we know are really good, like the World Needs Wheat, Poor Nora, some of the Oktoberfest, some of those beers that have the potential of really being regional favorites. We make sure those names are our own and go ahead and get them on Untapped, so they're out there for the world to see.
Gotcha.
And you have named a beer already.
That's right. I haven't seen it produced yet.
It's coming.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yes.
I totally forgot you won the contest.
Yeah, so
yeah, it's coming this year for
tell the story there, and I'll fill it in.
Yeah, we ran an ad in 2018 to name the next Stamp Out Cancer beer, and were you Stamps Wag Ale?
That's what I named it. Yeah.
So and you won the tickets.
I won the tickets. Yeah.
So that beer we've spent a lot of time talking about. We've yet to brew it, but Stamp Out Cancer season's coming, so we'll have it all ready.
It'll be good. Yeah, 10-year anniversary. It'll be ready for that. I think you're gonna try to have it at the event center, correct?
I'm hoping so. Yeah.
Yeah, to where people can actually get it at the event too.
Yeah. I was really proud of naming that beer.
Yeah.
Yeah. In honor of your father.
Yeah. That was a good one.
Yeah. Because your dad's name. Well, you tell the story. I don't have to tell that.
Well, we've been on here telling the story, but for Ron Stamps Wygal, and we named Stamp Out Cancer after him when he passed away from cancer. That was a while ago. 13 years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, when we raised over $500,000 so far, and heading into our 10-year and 10th year.
It's going to be a great beer. I can't wait.
I can't wait. I'm gonna, and I think what I like about it is that I keep giving you like ideas for it, so I know it's going to be one that I really like.
Yeah, that's the hard part. I mean, brewing beer is relatively easy to do, but to brew a beer that Waggle's going to like, it's going to be hard to do.
Well, basically, just don't put coffee in it. I think I'll be all right.
You're saying brewing a beer that he won't like is hard?
No, that he will like. I mean, because this is a beer we want to brew large scale and hopefully be good enough that will stay on tap. So it'll be one of the ones that hopefully gets distributed, and a portion of the sales will go back to the cause.
That's awesome. That really is cool.
Yeah,
that really is cool. What's your? Go ahead.
Oh, I had something I wanted to add. When you talked about you being skeptical, I remember a moment that we shared, and it's such a small little snippet of an overall of a friendship that's lasted quite a long time. But there was a night. It was after a local fundraiser, and a big group had come into the brewery to have some drinks afterwards. And I was pouring beers. Jennifer was pouring beers as fast as we could go. It was just the taps were sweating. And Waggle was sitting at the end of the bar. He had a smirk on his face, and I was just pouring, beer after beer after beer after beer. All the different taps are being pulled, and I look over and he said, $5 a pint. Who knew? It was something to that effect. And it was a really funny little moment shared. A moment shared that he's like, all right, fine. there's a line 10 deep for these beers, and people.
I tell you, I think. That's what I like about it too.
Yeah.
The $5 doesn't bother me.
Not mine either.
But and you brought it up. You said you were kind of skeptical. Most bars, it's whatever's on tap. The Coors Light, they got Bud Light, they got 3 or 4 national things. You go in there, it's a tall boy, short boy. You want a cocktail, it's made from the well. You got mixes of stuff. Honestly, I'm bored at a local bar for choice.
Yeah, me too.
Well, and I think in the long run, it's actually saved me money, because normally when I go to, let's say, another place down the street, and I'd have like a Mick Ultra for $2.75 a pop, and it's like a watered down beer, and I can go through them quickly.
Yeah.
There, I drink it a little bit slower, and so I'm actually, instead of spending, let's say, $5.50 every 45 minutes or an hour, I'm spending $5.
Sure.
So it's, in the long run, it's been working.
We could do some calculations on alcohol content and time to consume. But
there you go.
I don't think I need to know that what the total is.
So unscientifically, Zach says you can save money.
You can save money
by going to the Opera House. Yeah,
that's the takeaway from this: save big money at Opera House.
Yeah. You've been into brewing for, you said, about the last 6 years. This is when you got started with Dogfish Head.
Yeah.
Your research took you over to 100 breweries.
Yes.
You've now got the place operating. You brew downstairs. You got the bar upstairs. Where do you like to be? Like if it's opening, would you rather be in that pit brewing or upstairs behind the bar?
I'm always in the basement. That's my preferred spot. So we have a very distinct line. Jennifer takes care of everything from stairs up, and I take care of everything from stairs down.
Gotcha.
So the brewing, the cleaning, the carbonating, the tasting, tasting. Did we mention that? I'm tasting the beers downstairs, and then all that, everything down below is mine. The top part, she runs customer experience and service and cleanliness and everything above the upstairs.
Tell me how big of a player Jennifer is in this whole thing. You've mentioned her a couple of times.
Wow.
I mean,
I don't know how you start. I mean, without her, none of this is possible. I can't run it all. My love is the beer and the production and all that. And she literally loves everything else.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. She does a fantastic job, customer service, setting everything up. The amount of time that she puts in up there is unbelievable. Just hard to say.
When you walk in the door, the best feeling in the world is she smiles at you and says, "Hey guys."
Hey guys, yeah. She always says, "Hey, welcome." It's exciting or really neat to see. She's the silent hero in all this.
I don't know if it's so silent. I mean, she's obviously on the front line doing all the stuff that's right up there, the stuff that you enjoy seeing all the people's faces.
Yeah.
She's really putting in a lot of the work up front.
Right.
Where a lot of people see it. And she's a great face for your organization.
Right.
Too.
And the amount of support we have from everybody else, all the people that help us out, even the people during construction, and I mean Tim Alrisi and Carlos Lovano and their wives and all the people that show up and help. Bobby Johnson, I mean, he's there every chance he gets, and even during construction, all those people that helped. It's just so neat that anytime there's an event, there's people there. The Springers, they've helped us with some of our big events. Just so many people that help that, I of course can't thank all of them on the radio, but.
You mentioned events. You do have special events from time to time.
We do. One of our big events once a month is our bourbon night. Along with our craft beer, we do have a huge bourbon selection. Got over 100 bottles of bourbon and rye, some of the best stuff in the county, probably some of the best stuff in the state. We throw a bourbon night once a month. It's on the second Wednesday of the month, and it's reservation only. It is free to attend, but you need reservations to get in. And people come in. We basically turn the brewery into a bourbon bar, and tablecloths and live flowers and candles and table service. It's a really neat experience. People come in and have a great time. We always put up specialty flights and bourbon drinks that are only available during that event. So
those really surprised you.
Oh my gosh, yeah. When I set out to do that the first time, we thought my original plan was 4 tables. If we get 4 tables to reserve, 4 people per table, 16 people, $10 a drink. It's a pretty good Wednesday. And boy, the first time we did it, we sold out. We had to borrow chairs. Greg Holcomb let us borrow folding chairs, and my some of our parents let us borrow folding tables, and we bought every tablecloth that Walmart had to cover our tables, and that's why we have red and black, because they didn't have enough of one color the 2 times we went there. So anyway, it was a huge first response, and I thought, well, it's probably a 1 or 2 time event, and we just finished up the 4th one, and it was sold out. And as a matter of fact, November's is already sold out. So we're booking December event right now. So it's really, really neat. If you want to get in, give us a holler, and we'll get you down for a table.
They can always find you on Facebook, Opera House Brewing.
Yeah, Facebook Messenger is the best way to get a hold of us. We check it pretty often.
We're on Instagram too.
Instagram?
Oh yeah, brand new social media. Instagram, just found it.
Yeah. James Labonte and Labonte Photography are more than just photographers. They're artists. They take great pride in capturing images that you'll be proud to place on your walls for many years for your friends and guests to admire. He's more than just someone with the fancy camera lights and software. He'll spend time with you, get to know you, and capture real and authentic portraits of you. For senior photos, special events, weddings, or hey, just some fun family photos you'll treasure forever. Go to Labonte Photography on Facebook or LabontePhoto.com. Say cheese! Is HGTV on in your house all the time like it is in mine? Is a home improvement project on your wish list? If yes, call my friend Gabe Dexheimer at Dexco Home Renovations. Gabe and his crew recently did a great job for my family kitchen. They can do a great job on your next project too. Indoors, outdoors, decks, kitchens, baths, you name it. No jobs are too big or small. If you have an idea or just want a professional eye to help you realize your dream, call Gabe today at 618-420-1742 for a no-obligation consultation. He helped my family realize a dream kitchen, and he can help all of you too. Let's get it done. How hard is it to brew beer?
The brewing the beer is mostly just waiting. The hardest part is to be able to drink beer over a 5-hour period and not forget any steps, because you can't brew beer without drinking beer. It doesn't work. So that's the hardest part is probably just hanging out and waiting. Our system is a very easy system to run. It is manual, so we don't have any like controllers or anything like that. It's all manual. We move the hoses. from place to place. We hook everything up, but the brewing process takes about 5 hours from start to finish. There's about 3 or 4 hours of prep the day before, and then we brew about 5 hours. And then you got to wait. It's 2 to 3 weeks from grain to glass. It's awful hard to wait around to see what that beer tastes like.
Yeah. So if you're down there and you're tasting, you're not tasting finished product. You're tasting for what it should taste like in the moment, right?
Exactly. Yeah. It's tracking progress. So I always use the analogy that every week we brew sort of make a brand new baby. So you brew the beer and you put it in a tank, and from that point forward, it's a living, breathing thing. You have to monitor it just like you would, a baby. You have to monitor it. I don't have any kids. I assume just once or twice a day you check on them, like the beer. So it's the same exact thing, I think. And then you,
that's exactly how it works.
Yeah, I thought so. I've seen.
So you're comparing beer making to parenthood,
right?
The love is similar.
Similar, yeah.
I get you.
So once the beer is brewed, then you have to babysit it and make sure that the yeast is doing its job and the temperature's right and the alcohol is tracking properly. Everything's going good, and then we always taste the beer as each day. To judge the progress and to see how everything's coming.
What really drew you into the heart and soul of what beer making is when you watch Brewmasters?
Yeah.
Dogfish Head had to throw out a whole batch.
Yeah.
Have you had to throw out a whole batch yet?
I have not.
No.
I'm knocking on the table. Not yet.
Yeah. 100% success rate so far.
Yes.
And we don't want to jinx you.
Oh my God, no. I hope not. But we're very, very, very careful in sanitation and our processes to hopefully avoid ever getting an infection. Now, brewing a beer that doesn't taste good, that would be hopefully the most likely is to brew a beer that I missed the recipe. But for the most part, most of the beers we brew large scale, I have piloted, with the exception of Oktoberfest, which was brewed strictly from research and notes. So I got lucky on that one. But normally the beers I pilot first at a small size, so I know what we're going to be having.
That's so good, that Oktoberfest. Have you had that yet?
I tried it the other night, but I was already into my second Pora Nora and decided I had to drive home, and I was responsible.
Mm-hmm.
Where's this going? Are you going to start brewing beers for other places?
Yeah, we're really excited. One of our big goals was to be out in other locations by the end of 2019, at least one location. And it looks like we're going to hit that mark. We're working on a contract with Donewald Distributing, and we're not quite done with the contract yet, but we're hoping to be in some local bars by the end of the year and then ramp up distribution throughout 2020. So the goal is to really build a strong regional brand.
And I think you're on your way. What's the thing that you love most? So you've gone through the work.
Sure.
And you're still working on the building. There's things you're still doing. And I think that's kind of the fun of it is every time I go back, there's
something
maybe a
different.
little bit more.
Yeah, a little something different. Yeah.
What's your favorite part of just being there?
There's two parts that are competing for a favorite. And the first one is I absolutely love to brew beer. So I love weighing the grains and measuring the water and just being in that process. So during that, I'm in my element. I'm happy. I love the smells and the sounds, and I love every bit of it. But the other part that I really like coming up out of the basement and seeing all the glasses of beer in people's hands.
Yeah.
So as you guys know, a lot of the beers have their own specific glass. So I can walk through and see, I know if you're drinking Oktoberfest because it's in a special German-style Stein, or if you're drinking one of our Kolsch's, it's in a Kolsch glass. So when I walk through, I can just see the different colors of beer. And in a group, there may be 4 different ones. And there's something about that to know the time it took to brew each one of those, the research that went into them, all the work and the babysitting, all that stuff, to see all that come together to a group of people having a good time and having all those glasses in their hand. It's a very, very, very neat feeling.
I gotta tell you, that probably outweighs the other one, the brewing part.
It
because
does,
it's the result of the other one.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
But I do like the creation, but seeing that, to see the people and to see the happiness and to see, the conversations. I mean, some of the conversations that we've had, different, I've just overheard or been involved in, that are meaningful conversations between people that are planning for a future or brainstorming new ideas. It's just neat to see.
So Zach, you're Mr. Hillsboro, promote Hillsboro. You were skeptical at first. You've seen it work. What do you like best about the place?
One, everything that's happening, but let's say like our movie theater. We used to have people come from all around. Or, I mean, they still do. Like, a lot of their market comes from like St. Louis, stuff like that. And that was like kind of like a center focal point of Hillsboro. You would come downtown and you would see that, all lit up. And that was like, okay, that's our draw. Well, now there's a competition with that. And it's Opera House. With that being open, that is now another, basically a new focal point. So when they come there, and I mean, really anybody that walks in there, and they can see out, the big window down the street, and just the atmosphere that's in there, and the crowds they're getting is from out of town. That's a new destination spot. So there's, in my mind, like, don't get me wrong, I love all the new places that are opening up downtown, but this is a for sure destination spot. Like, they are coming in droves from other towns, just like how they're doing for our movie theater. And that's what I think I like about it the most, is that, and that markets itself right there. And everything that they're doing is only going to benefit everyone around them, every business around them. I mean, there's the food truck that's across the street, Street Eats. If Opera House wasn't there, I don't see like how they'd have as much business as they do. But it works for Opera House too, because Opera House is they then have food because they don't serve food there, so people are able to go across the street, they deliver to them, and it's really just it's opening up so many possibilities for the town. And never would I have thought when that idea was being tossed around about a brewery that was what was going to be the end result, was it being the next like focal point, the next big thing. Because of that, I mean, it's just going to keep taking off more and more.
Well, you said something a second ago, and I'd probably disagree with you. You said that like the movie theater is like in competition with the Opera House.
No,
but what's happening is people are coming to the theater and they're seeing the Opera House. People that are coming to the Opera House are seeing the theater.
No, I'm not saying.
And rising tides is raising everything.
I wouldn't say. No, I'm not saying competition. I'm saying a focal. Like when you think of Hillsboro, you were thinking, okay, like in my mind, people from out of town. Oh, there's that movie theater there. Right. They would drive through town and they would say, oh, we need to stop at that movie theater. Now there's one more spot saying there's a brewery here. Yeah. We need to stop at that brewery.
We get a ton of people that they go to the theater and then come over before or after. It's
I love the theater. I mean, no, it's not competition. What I'm saying is that there's another, it's bringing people in is what I'm saying. And it's good. I mean, no, the more focal points you have like that in a small town, it's better for everyone all the way around.
Well, my wife and I live here in Mount Olive. Every time we go over there, we have a hard time parking.
Oh my gosh!
Because if it's either you or it's the movie theater, that whole strip is full of parking spots.
It's crazy, yeah.
And we're block away walking in. It's awesome.
I think a lot of people forget about the parking behind Sullivan's.
Yeah,
that's actually not a bad spot for. I've parked there for Opera House before, but that's a good problem to have.
I'll tell you,
it's a great problem to have.
Yeah. I'll tell you a neat story. When you talk about people coming from out of town, we just had a couple in the other day out of Springfield, and I noticed they were from out of town, I noticed I hadn't seen them before, so I spent some time talking to them. They were come down from Springfield, and I said, "Oh, are you traveling through somewhere else?" And they said, "No, we came here for Opera House." And for me, that's like weird. I know that people do it, but it's a weird feeling when people say it. And they had a few drinks, had a little sampler, a little flight of beers, and having a good time. And I said, "Are you guys hungry?" And they said, "Sure." I said, "Man, we got a fantastic pizza place in town called Gianni's. And let me get you a menu." Dropped a menu down. They ordered pizza, ended up staying a little extra long, had a great time, moved to a table, had their pizza, ended up having an old fashioned, had a great time. And when they left, they said, "Boy, we'll be back." And that feeling to know they drove, just like many people from Hillsboro drive all the way to Springfield to eat dinner and go to a place to have a few drinks. These people are now getting in the car, driving to Hillsboro, and like you said, when you're sitting at the Opera House, you can't help but see the Orpheum Theater, which is absolutely beautiful. I mean, Gold Pan Records has got to be mentioned. We've talked about Black Rabbit Coffee a few times. I mean, you can't beat their coffee.
And Gold Pan, and I'm started turning into like a vinyl connoisseur, type person. And their prices are actually better than most around for the used vinyl. But we had our harvest market, last weekend in Hillsboro, and I stopped by there because they were open in the morning. And I was like, okay, they have 2 copies of the new Sturgill Simpson vinyl. I'll just come back later, so I have to carry it around with me. And I went back a couple hours later to pick it up, and they're both already sold. So something's going right there when even their new vinyl is selling like hotcakes there. Yeah. And they're just good people to talk to. I mean, it reminds me of like when I was a kid and I would go to baseball card shop.
Oh my God, yeah, it does.
And just sit there, with the guys in there talking about baseball cards. They're going in and talking with these guys, about vinyl, and because you're collecting again, at the same time.
That is a crazy connection. But you're right, it is.
And I mean, there's sometimes I just like to just go in there. I'll go buy Black Rabbit first, get me a tea from there, like an Earl Grey. They have some good Earl Grey. They changed the recipe today. I like that, actually, the newer one. And then I'll stop by, Gold Pan, and just sometimes just to talk with the guys, to BS with the guys.
I like that place. It was probably January this year. My wife's uncle had passed away. We were moving her to a home, and we're going over there, and we open up this cabinet, and there had to be 200 records in there. And I go, I know a place to take these. So I load them up in my car. I drive them over to Hillsboro. I get there, and I walk in, and I said, Brian wasn't there. They were waiting for Brian to come back from the coffee shop. And the guy says, oh, yeah, I'll help you bring them all in. And so Brian walks in and goes, so tell me where'd you get all these? And I said, well, my wife's uncle died and we were cleaning out my aunt's house. He goes, that's never the good start to a record collection story. And it was probably true, but he ended up taking them. And I guess there was a place he was going to get it, but he went through every single one of them.
Mm-hmm. They can do it fast too. And they go through them. They know exactly what they are before they see them.
He pulled out like 2 records. One, I think, was an Elvis record that he gave me $4 or $5 for. And the other one, I couldn't even tell you what it was, but it was this industrial noise that was some avant-garde guy, and he put it on the record player like you're talking about in there, and it was just making it was like we were talking about banging on the table for sound. Yeah. It was like all these weird noises. He goes, that's worth like $20. He goes, I can't give you 20 for it, but I'll give you 15. I'm like,
yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
So I probably dropped off 200 records and got $20, because they were all just nothing that would move. But he gave me $15 for a hidden gem.
Yeah,
that was.
Yeah, I've seen him go. I've seen him go through records. They just flip right through them. They know they both know exactly what they're going to pull out.
Yeah. Well, I got a stack of them over there. You can see. I've kind of started my little collecting back of some of these things. Good place. What else?
Also on top of the Blackboard Mercantile.
Yeah, it's a brand new one. It's fantastic.
What's in the Red Rooster's coming back?
Yeah. They're working on it now.
That's stay still probably another year.
I have no idea. Yeah, they're doing God's work up there. I'll tell you that.
But I mean, that's the thing. They're not rushing it. It's they're taking the time trying to restore things, and
yeah, it's an awesome project to watch. But man, it's
and that's could be some competition or co-opetition with you, right?
Definitely co-opetition for sure. Yeah. We're big fans of the Wrights, and we're excited to have them there. When you talk about bringing people to our town, a town like Hillsboro with 2 breweries, I mean that's going to be fantastic. And they're going to do distilling too. It sounds like so. That'll be another draw. When you distill liquor, you have to brew beer first. So they'll have both equipment. I assume they'll do both, but it's going to be exciting. People will come from all over, and they're going to be a heavy distribution brewery with the loading dock and everything. Mm-hmm. It'll be exciting with us doing some small distribution, and them what I anticipate would be larger distribution. It's going to be a big draw. Everybody who holds one of their beers in their hand or one of their spirits in their hand will say Hillsboro, Illinois right on it, and that's going to draw people right back.
I mean, just think about that. Let's say a Saturday during the day. A lot of times people, make trips to other towns to go check this out. They can walk back and forth between, a couple breweries.
Oh, fantastic!
And a whole bunch of cool businesses in between.
And a whole bunch of cool business. Yeah. I mean, it's a good time to be in Hillsboro.
Yeah, it's very, very exciting.
Zach, normally this time of year I'd have you back to talk about what's coming up for Stamp Out Cancer, and we've done that the last couple of years. It's that time of year. Give me a little update on what's going on with that. Timing's changed. What's the update?
Yeah, we moved it to the end of March. I think it's March 26th, the last Saturday in March. And a couple reasons for that. One was we've always gotten lucky. Mainly, we've always gotten lucky that we haven't been snowed out. I remember there was a dusting last year, the morning of. And you have to think when you're bringing bands and they're bringing trailers, because, I mean, we have some large-scale bands, and they have a lot of equipment to move here for that whole production. And those things normally don't work too well on snow. I mean, there's those trailers could flip over, on the interstate. So we've gotten lucky. No snow, and we figured by moving to the end of March, and also possibility of getting new participants. We've actually had some participants that are just always, or that we've asked before, that's always busy that last Saturday in January. I'm like, okay, maybe we can, and new mini events. Maybe there's going to be some nicer days out, and not everybody's just freezing when you have the little, the Stamp Out Cancer season.
Right.
Right.
that it might open up doors for new things there. But we're super, super pumped. Expanded our team to include Shelly Hill from Nokomis, a former participant, and Teresa Priddle from Litchfield, a former participant, just to really, to have more of a presence in those markets. And it's really got us excited about the people that they know and what they can bring to the table with this.
There's a possibility, just because we're talking about beer, this is the first time they've listened to the What's That Like podcast. So give us a quick 2-minute update. What is Stamp Out Cancer? Why? What's it raise money for? And how much? Because I want you to toot your horn.
Yeah, well, we started this about 10 years ago. Wanted to see how much money we could raise for the Montgomery County Cancer Association. And it started with just saying, hey, I want to have because I was bartending at the time, going back to school to become a teacher. And I just want to see how much money I could raise. And one of my friends, Leslie Pollard, who's now in Colorado, she said, we can make this bigger. And we had a celebrity bartending competition. Matt Hughes was a part of it. And that first event at our country club raised $10,800. Each year it just keeps getting bigger. We moved it to what is now the event center of Montgomery County. It used to be the Casey Hall, but that's what it's called now. The Shears took that over, which is honestly, another like new business. We have
it is.
Yeah, like a family owned, hall. An Abbey on Broadway. That's not to jump away, but Abbey on Broad.
We're going to do a whole special about all the new awesome stuff in Hillsboro.
The former Church Street Pub is now a place. But anyway, moved it there. And each year it keeps raising more and more. And last year our teams combined for $125,000 raised for the Montgomery County Cancer Association, which 100% of that money goes, it stays local. It helps people pay for bills. It has scholarships. We provide direct patient medical assistance. So not just bills, but helps pay for gas to treatment. And we give people rides to and from treatment because there's sometimes people that go through cancer alone. We were fortunate with my dad. We'd, fight over who got to take him to go to chemo. But there's other people that don't have anybody. And the Montgomery County Cancer Association will, ride with them, sit with them, and bring them back. And I think that's probably my favorite part of what they do. And like I said, all of it stays local. There's no, nobody's getting a cut. I'm on the board for them as well. And I think we're doing it right. We're setting the model of what small towns and even bigger towns could be doing when you take the corporate aspect of what nonprofits should be and what the whole heart of it, why you're doing this to begin with. And it's not to make yourself money. It's to raise the spirits and get, everyone the help that they need around you. That's what I love about it. So 10-year anniversary of Stamp Out Cancer, and over $500,000 raised.
That's great. That's awesome. It's crazy awesome.
It's crazy really awesome. Yeah. And and the thing is, we can't be doing we wouldn't be able to do what we're doing unless the community that we did live in. And it is like the Tony Marcolinis when we have events that are up there. We've had so many events at different places all around our town, and we want to do that. We want to showcase, bring people to that town, and also just help any business out that we can when we put on those little mini events with our.
They're always fun.
Yeah. There's nothing better than Stamp Out Cancer season. There's so much to do in our town. There's so many creative events. There's so much. Every weekend there's multiple things to do, and they're all creative, which I think is just fantastic. We hosted a few events last year and went to even more of them, and it's really neat to see. It's fun to be involved in them, and just different things going on, from the putt golf to the one year they did a polar plunge in Litchfield. I didn't get to do that. And
you missed out on that. Let me tell you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I must have didn't see that one happen.
And even our former teams, because we call them alumni. We actually have a secret Facebook page just for our Stamp Out Cancer alumni, our former celebrity couples. They actually have an event coming up. Our team Nocoboro, who won it last year, is having a 9-hole putt bar crawl next weekend, and it's taking place all around Nokomis. So
that next weekend, that'll probably be post day for this on the weekend of the 18th, 19th is what you're talking. Yeah,
the 19th.
So if you're hearing this, it's probably that day or the day after. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Just to be clear.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
But it's just fun seeing our former teams even still wanting to give back, because it is kind of addicting. Some of those teams, when it's over with, they like that it's over with. At the same time, they're kind of saddened because they liked, that they were able to do this. And that's one of my favorite parts is the couples. It's giving them a stage to normally they're honoring someone that they knew that battled cancer. And bringing their own creativity, their own fun stuff to the table, and they get to tell their story.
It's cool stuff. The other thing you run, usually is the summer concert series.
Yes.
And you had a great run this year, right?
Yeah, it was another unique year of just, or the headlining part of it all was when they asked me to take over the Old Settlers Entertainment. And that was last year. And this year I knew going into it that this was going to be big. Especially just both nights of bands. It's like, as long as the weather holds out, I think it's going to turn out. And it did. It was, according to, I like to gauge it from Connie Childress, the owner of the Courthouse Pub, on how was your business. And the first night when we had Ace Auction in the Ozones, she ran out of beer. She thought she had enough for both nights. And so she had to get a delivery the next day. And then the next night she knew she needed a bunch for Silver Bullet, the Bob Seger tribute. She was down to like one case.
Yeah. I knew when that beer truck pulled in there Thursday morning, I happened to see it. I said, "Oh boy, we're in trouble. Like we're in trouble." She's restocking.
Yeah, she had to power back up again. But and especially when I went to address the crowd beforehand, I asked, how many people were here from out of town, and half their hands were raised, and that's good because that means they're going through town, they're stopping at other businesses. Even at our wrap up meeting, this was actually the most money Old Settlers had made. So
Wowee.
And it was actually a down year for our Queen candidates. But the ride sales, and what we've kind of equated that to, is parents would be there watching the concert. Kids would come up saying, "Hey, we're out of money," and the parents would probably just pay them off, saying, "Keep riding rides. I want to hear Bob Seger."
Right.
So it was a win-win all around. Yeah, all of our bands were really good this year. Actually, Rotten Rod was at our last one. Watching Mathian, my friend from Chicago. Sometimes you get discouraged. I have. I sometimes take it to heart when the attendance isn't like what I would like for it to be. But Rotten Rod was watching it, and he mentioned to me, he goes, "What you're doing here is just too good for Hillsboro." He goes, I don't think they appreciate the quality of music that's coming here. And Rod was blown away. Everyone that was there was blown away by that talent, because I try to have at least now 2 of my shows original artists, people that are struggling, that are selling merch out of the back end of their car and want to put new things out there in the world. And that guy was one of them. But yeah, it didn't have many people as I wanted, but the other shows kind of made up for it. Our 4th of July was huge once again. And like I said, the Old Settlers was through the roof. And that's what got us thinking about, yeah.
I got 3 words for you for next year: wild and free.
So already Johnny Grimes actually sent me a message, and he said, "Really, you got to check out these guys, Wild and Free." I know I missed Turner Fest. I love Turner Fest. I love everyone that puts that on. I just happened to be at a U of I game that day, and I watched some of the videos of the Wild and Free, and I was overly impressed.
Yeah, I was too.
And I'll say this, what I say a lot of people, neither good or bad, and they were very good. I say they're on my radar.
Yeah, there you go.
So even some of the suggestions I get from people, I'm like, I just say, well, they're on my radar. But that one definitely on my radar. Yeah,
I'll say there's no better band for the summer concert series than RetroRockit.
Oh, thank you, Tony. What are we talking about? We got a summer concert series event coming up with you guys.
We do.
Tell us about that.
It's kind of to see what could happen really in Hillsboro if the concerts, not that the concerts left, there's still, the Old Settlers ones going on, but what else could happen outside of Old Settlers? And it just kind of turned into a nice little collaboration of Opera House being right where it's at, being able to close off a street when it's not Old Settlers, and then having other aspects like food truck.
Right. Yeah, we're really excited about it. The only way I can go to a summer concert series is if he does it out front of the brewery. So I was like, well, let's
bring it here.
Yeah, I know,
you can't go to the show, so you're going to bring the show to your place.
Exactly. Yeah. I can't serve beer out there, so let's bring the list a little bit closer.
So run it down. October 26th. What's going on that night?
October 26th. It's going to be the summer concert on Wood Street. And while our official concerts for this year is done, this is like an added bonus. And like when I was talking to Tony, a trial run to see, okay, what would happen if we did bring more concerts back up here. And what really works with Wood Street is you can control the crowd and also the traffic. And that's the problem we have a stage, the Lincoln stage, uptown, but there's just too much traffic, going around the courthouse And plus, you don't want to be closing off parts of Main Street there for all the other businesses going on a Saturday night. They would not appreciate that.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to be playing at, halftime, next week. Or they would not like it if them in Subway, if they're like, oh, hey, all of our parking spots are gone for a night.
Exactly.
Having where it's at, where Opera House is located at is perfect. It's not like it's a heavily, that little side street.
Yeah, Wood Street is not needed at night.
Main will be open, Wood will be closed.
Correct.
And the show will be on the side of the Opera House, just to the north.
Yeah,
the only thing being lost is like 5 parking spots that are over on the side, which is fine because, like we said, there's plenty of parking behind Sullivan's.
Yep.
And then possibly, if this works out in the future, having, more downtown.
Right.
And you're having a good band, right?
Right. Well, as you guys all know, I'm a huge fan of RetroRockit. You guys play on the Stamp Out Cancer float which Zach and I built, and with some help, but it's definitely one of our brainchilds.
It was mainly me doing the building and Tony just kind of watching.
Yeah, yeah. I think so. I think that's as I remember it, that's kind of how it went.
Or the opposite. I think it was the opposite.
Yeah. But anyway, you were a huge fan of RetroRockit, and I couldn't pick a better band to play downtown, or couldn't choose a better one to do that. And being able to do a concert right there on Wood Street to me is like a really, really exciting a proposition. You were praying for good weather.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it as well. Yeah. From our standpoint, it's our last show of 2019, last show of the decade for us.
Yes, nice.
I'll say it on the podcast here. One of our members is leaving the band, and it's my fellow lead singer Todd Peterson. No hard feelings, nothing like that. He's just like ready to maybe do something else and not be in the band. And we were just so happy that if we're gonna let him go out in style, we get to go out with a big show with you guys doing this thing with a big crowd, and we can't wait for it.
Sweet, really excited.
It's great. We got a warm up show the week before. We're at halftime, but looking forward to both those things and closing out our year with you guys right there in Hillsboro.
And I was looking at ways. Okay, how could I get? Because technically, like my sponsors for this year, they've already, everything that we had for this year, the concert already over with. But I started talking to some of them, like, well, how else could I keep promoting, some of our sponsors? I know at our last show, Bank of Hillsboro said, well, here's some koozies. You want to throw those out? Perfect. Anything you want to help, to get your name out. At this show, actually, Bank of Hillsboro raffled off. So anybody that comes into Opera House to attend this show can enter their name into a drawing because it's their 150th year, Bank of Hillsboro, and their whole slogan is "You're local, we're local," and they have $150 worth of local gift certificates from around Hillsboro, which include Opera House and Black Rabbit, and so just for coming to the show, you have a chance to win that.
Cool,
yeah,
cool.
I'm sure we're going to throw out all kinds of good stuff. I'm sure we'll throw out a T-shirt or two and some of those awesome coffee mugs. We'll throw some stuff out.
I'll be
throwing out some summer concert T-shirts. Got those as well.
And so you got to get it by the stage because you got to catch them.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And I mean, just to add to it, because normally we need to think. I don't want to look at this as just, we're just going to watch a show. No, I want you to have multiple experiences when you're going on there. Right. Not only that, trying some of the new beer that's going to be on tap.
Yeah.
And enjoying, because we don't have outdoor music that often in the fall, and I think that's some of the best times because definitely not having to worry about bugs and because that's our last concert was miserable for our band because I was trying to get more and more citronella candles just to get bugs away.
Yeah.
Not worrying about being super hot. If the weather holds out, I mean, you might have to put on a hoodie or something, but go out and enjoy a good outdoor show.
And it's Halloween.
Yeah.
Or is there costume encouraged, right?
Yeah, costume encouraged, but not required.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'll tell you, I'm really excited about this food truck we have lined up called A Fine Swine. This guy that owns A Fine Swine, he is the real deal. He's won every competition. He says he's won every competition he's ever wanted to win. I mean, he's a world champion caliper food truck, and he owns I think he owns 3 restaurants. The closest one to us is in Carlisle. And I mean, this is the real deal barbecue. It's really good. So I'm expecting he'll sell out early. So I think we're open at 5, and I'm sure he will not. I'm sure he won't probably make very many songs because this is the first time in town. Yeah. But
so Zach, we're wrapping this one up. I mean, what do you think? 5 times on the What's That Like podcast. Can you believe you made it this far, buddy?
I I mean, sort of. There's a little bit of longevity in what I'm doing, but at the same time, I figured people would have, finally figured me out by now and just stopped, coming to any of the events that we put on. But that's not the case. So yeah, you keep getting stuck with me, coming here and talking about stuff.
We've been good partners for the last 2.5, 3 years. It's been fun, hasn't it?
It's been a lot of fun, and I'm still waiting on maybe if there's going to be more things that we can collaborate on.
Mm-hmm. Stay tuned. We have an idea.
What's
that like, Nation? We'll see where it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard the snippets of that coming in today, and I'm pretty excited.
Tony, what did you think about being on the show? First, let me face-to-face on the air. Thank you for being the title sponsor for the show. We love partnering up with you.
Well, thanks for having us. We're real excited about being here and helping you out. I love this podcast, and I love what you do.
Yeah, it's just I'll tell you this, Zach. I told Tony when I was pitching it to him, I said, podcast listeners are the same demographic as craft beer drinkers.
Mm-hmm.
He said that with confidence,
yeah.
with absolutely no backup.
There was an asterisk there.
I would agree with that, but I've done zero research as well.
Yeah.
It just sounds good, though.
Could you prove me wrong? Let's just start with that.
Yes.
Could you prove me wrong?
No.
That's a lot of
There
effort.
you go.
There
you go.
I got things to do.
So maybe we'll end it with that. Thank you guys for coming on the show. Love having you on. We'll have you back, and we'll just see where this whole thing goes with Opera House. Go check it out. I tell you guys every single time we do an intro, go to the Opera House. You will not be disappointed with the time that you have. I'll say this about your place. It's like my Cheers.
Nice.
All right. I don't live in Hillsboro. My wife is amazed that every time we walk in there and think we're just going to sit there in the corner and just have a beer or a drink to ourselves. Inevitably, other conversations start happening with all these people. I think that's the coolest thing about the place.
Well, it was told to me.
It really is.
A long time ago, I remember when Jeremy told me this, he said, Zach, you're going to find your future wife at Opera House. And I'm like, what? No. Not at a bar. But I say,
do you have something to announce?
No, but I'm just saying the client. Like,
that would be amazing.
That would have been
but
great.
I'm saying, like, out of all the places I go into, the crowds that come in there, it's like crowds of girls from other towns, and I'm just always like, my best bet is probably here if I'm in Hillsboro.
There you go.
I mean, just because of the different people they bring in there.
Let me wrap this up then. Good conversation at the Opera House. Mm-hmm. According to Zach, you'll save money.
Yeah, save money
at the Opera
for
House.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. It's friendly people, and you can meet chicks. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, that's what Zach had said.
I'm just saying the opportunities there and you're getting a good caliber, normally of the
caliber.
Wow. Yes. I mean, that there's fine, upstanding gentlemen there because I am there quite often. So you're getting top
Tony's
of the
got
line.
the giggles right now. Yeah, he's
and you know what's going to make it even better is when I walk in there with my 5-timers robe. When I walk in there with my 5-timers robe, it's game on. So ladies, be prepared.
How are you possibly going to edit this together? I have no idea.
It'll be perfect.
He's going to win an Oscar for this.
And the Oscar for editing goes to John at the What's That Like podcast. Guys, thanks for coming on the show. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, John.
Well, there you have it. Latest episode of the What's That Like podcast. Want to give big thanks to Zach and Tony for coming over here and doing this. We did a little live Facebook video at the end, not included as a part of this podcast. If you saw it on Facebook, great. If you didn't, go back and watch it. Lots of cool stuff coming up. And as you see it, once again, all the details. We'll see you at Hillsboro, the Opera House, October 26th. Halloween costume encouraged? Not necessary. Come on. We'll probably be dressed up. It's going to be a big, fun time. We're going to send off my bandmate Todd Peterson in big style. He's been real important to me. Have as a bandmate the last 4 or 5 years. I actually replaced Todd in RetroRockit back in 2000. I think it was 2010 or 11, and been there ever since. He left, came back, and he rejoined the band as a bass player, and he's been my front man cohort ever since. I'm going to miss him big time. Big musical brother to me, and just want to thank him for everything he's done. And as you hear this, he'll have a week to go in the band. It's sad for me, exciting for RetroRockit, kind of at the same time. We'll see where the new road takes us. We'll figure something out. We don't have a replacement yet, and we'll just figure that out as it comes. So there's all your updates to What's That Like podcast. That's it for this show. Peace out. What's That Like is available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Search for What's That Like. Subscribe today and never miss an episode. Streaming is available at SoundCloud.com and on the SoundCloud app. Follow What's That Like at Facebook.com/What's That Like Podcast and on Twitter at What's That Like Pod. All opinions of the guests of the What's That Like podcast are their own, not necessarily the views of the host or the podcast producers. We hope you enjoy this podcast serving Central Illinois and beyond. Peace out!